live.
Stream.
Good
Are
morning.
we live?
We are. Let's make sure we have sound.
What camera am I looking at?
Check 1, 2, 3. You're looking
One
at
of
the
the
middle.
four.
One of the four. Yeah, we've got
Got all of you.
1, 2, 4 cameras here. We were talking earlier. We need at least 2 more, I think. So,
Okay.
hey, welcome in the Facebook Live show, Revolved Realty, Hammer and Sales Real Talk for Friday, September the 21st. The year is flying
sound.
by. We have sound. Awesome. Hey, do us a favor. If you are joining us on Facebook, share this out. Let everyone know.
Sorry,
Technology's great, man.
I don't know how to work this thing. I apologize.
Chelsea has to share mine out because I don't know how. But hey, welcome in. Hope you're having a fantastic week. Tim Knox, Chelsea McKinney, Zach Walker. I've had a good week. Lots of activity, closings, new houses on the market, new houses being sold.
Muy bien.
Chelsea, you've had a busy week, not only in real estate but on the hammer and sales side.
I've had a heck of a week.
You did what? 6 bids yesterday?
What are we talking? Oh, yeah, hammer and sales on Wednesday.
we're all
Wednesday's our estimate day, so if you want an estimate from Hammer and Sales, call us.
And here's an interesting, in fact.
Yesterday was Thursday.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
said yesterday. I meant Wednesday.
Oh.
Is it Wednesday?
It's Wednesday.
Well, on the Hammer and Sales website, the webmaster had goofed up something, and so there were, a dozen contact messages going back 6 months
there were a lot that
Yeah.
we never got.
that they never got.
And so I had to email everybody, and I was like, I'm so sorry. I realize it's been a really long time. If you're still interested, we'd love to give you some.
And they all were.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you ended up getting some work off that. Zach, how was your week?
Oh, busy.
Busy?
Lots of new listings. Did a lot of listing this week. Had a
Listings
couple
are good.
Bought a new flip. So
Did you?
I'm back in the game. It's been a little while since I've done that personally. I've been so busy with the company.
Mhm.
But I had a client of mine actually. He bought one of our houses that we had listed, and then sent me a text message at 7:30 in the morning, and was like, "Hey, you think we can make money on this house?" It's on the same road as the house he just bought, so he's doing a big reno on his house, and we're like, "Well, we could keep the contractors busy with 2."
Right.
So we drove out there. By the way, he left that day at noon to go back to Oregon. And so we got in the car at 7:45 and went into this house. It's a complete gut job. It's going to be a mess, but we bought it good, and
Is it in Athens?
it's right there, about 5 minutes from our office.
Very
Okay.
cool.
Cool.
Well, cool. So we had a good week. Hopefully you did too. Last week on the program we talked about renovations and flips and remodels, and we've got a lot of folks that had responded and asked questions. And by the way, if you'd like to leave a comment below, or if you are watching us on the live feed, if you want to chime in, feel free to do so. We're all monitoring, right?
Yeah,
Zach
this
is
is
the-
constantly monitoring.
Zach is the official monitor of the live stream, but
Of the comments?
yeah, and what we do, just so you know, is we do this live stream every Friday at 9. Then we also record it, we produce it, and then we put it out as a recorded show. So it's evergreen, as they say. But last week we had some really good conversation about flips, remodels. This week I thought we would talk about investing money in updates and whether or not you may get that money back and whether or not it's actually worth it. So even if I'm not looking to sell my home, what are some of the things that you see people typically doing? I know kitchens, bathrooms, to update, improve the value of their home, and hopefully get the money out when they go sell. Chelsea,
I know what I see them not doing.
like what is that?
Painting.
Not
Painting is the easiest thing to upgrade your home. It's so easy. You can do it yourself. You don't have to hire it out. Get rid of those wild colors, especially if you're trying to sell your house. Paint it a good neutral. You don't have to do beige. Please don't do beige. You can do any shade of gray that you want. And it automatically updates that, and getting rid of all the gold. If you got gold hinges and doorknobs and yada yada yada,
Although I feel
get
like
rid of
gold's
it.
trying to make
No.
a comeback.
No.
Chelsea's
A
resisting.
new gold is trying
Okay,
to come.
fair.
This is like the brassy, nasty
You're
gold.
talking about from the 70s gold.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
awful. Well,
All right.
70s through the 90s. I mean, every single house that was built in the 90s is your typical builder grade peach walls and, gold lighting and knobs and plumbing fixtures and everything. I mean, it's
So you're saying gray is the new beige?
No.
Because beige was the color for a while, the nice
Yeah.
neutral beigey,
I mean,
right?
correct me if I'm wrong. There's a couple of color palettes that are pretty in, that are consistent, that you take throughout the house. With you can add your color, but you've got your grayscales, and then you got your earth tones, and you kind of I know where you're at on that, but I'm saying you can use I mean, it's not just gray, right? I mean,
It's
there
not
are
just gray. There are some good grays, which is a good combination between gray
something that'll go
and
better with
beige.
browns. And,
Yeah. So there are other options other than.
But if you
Tan.
need some help on that, I know someone who's really good at it. She's sitting right next to me. And she would be happy to quote your house on a Wednesday, not a
Yeah.
Thursday, a Wednesday.
You're right.
Contact Hammer and Sales.
Thank you.
And she'll get to it in 2021. I think. So you're saying that at the very least, paint.
Yes.
Because we
it's
all
so
see-
easy.
We all see houses, the older houses with the dark crimson red walls, the dark blue. Remember the house we bought
On Douglas?
No, not on Douglas. The one that I'm in now.
Oh.
Remember it had the hotel carpet in the den, the playroom.
Yeah.
You
No,
walk-
that wasn't hotel carpet. That was like skating rink carpet.
It was great though. It
It
was. I mean,
was-
the pad was this exact. This carpet was like a really deep blue
Remember that?
with gold diagonal checks on it. And boy,
It
it's
sounds glorious.
It was
It
not a
was.
residential carpet. It was totally a commercial carpet, either meant for a hotel or a skating rink. Like the only thing it was lacking was like glow in the dark.
But it was
features.
Oh, wow, you're right. Well, also the house that we bought on Douglas. Do you remember what was in the basement? What really sold me on the house? The
On
disco
the walls?
ball.
Oh no
A
way.
disco ball, Zach.
I would have bought it right there.
I did.
I had to.
I'm like,
Wasn't
this
it
is.
in the little bar area?
Yeah, the previous owner was from Belgium, and he turned the basement
I didn't
into.
know disco balls were big in Belgium.
No, wait. He turned the basement into a Belgian pub with a
Yeah.
disco
Whoa.
area.
Yeah.
And so you come down the stairs, and there was like a 14-foot bar, and the damn thing weighed about 4,000 pounds because I
That's
know I tore it
huge.
out. But then there was a pool table, there was some game stuff, and in the middle of the room was a working disco ball.
And there was a phone booth.
And there was a phone booth.
Yeah.
And when the realtor turned on the disco ball, I went, sold. I bought it.
I'll take it.
I'm like, I'll give you $250,000 just for the disco ball. But nowadays probably not so much.
We got a
But-
comment in about wallpaper. What do we do about wallpaper?
Yes.
Get rid of it unless it's new and beautiful.
So wallpaper's coming back.
Wallpaper is 100% coming back. I've used it.
Has it
I
ever
used
gone
it
away?
Well,
I
no,
mean,
it's
it
just
should
been buried
have
under
some-
layers and layers of
Yeah.
paint.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, wallpaper is absolutely making a comeback
Yeah.
in design, and it should, because it's a great way to cover a wall for an accent, for
Mm-hmm.
lots of different things. But if you've got existing wallpaper, it's probably buried or
Yeah.
old or out of. And so what's the best? I mean, because that's another one of those do-it-yourself.
Some people paint over the wallpaper.
Some people
Please
paint
don't do that.
over it,
Yeah.
but
Please don't do that.
you know, you're gonna see the seams. You're gonna see it when it peels. I do know that you can. I'm not saying this is the best thing to do, but you can mud all the seams and you can mud up to the ceiling, and it will last a little bit longer. But that's just as much work as
So much work.
tearing it off. I mean,
Right.
tearing it off is not easy by any means. I remember I did a little the half bath in my house. I decided I was gonna take the wallpaper off myself, and I got the first layer off, and then there was a textured layer underneath it. So I actually had to end up ripping off like 3 layers of wallpaper,
Yeah.
and then I paid somebody to come in and fix the walls.
And Erica says wallpaper with chickens on it is never going to be in. So we need to be more specific.
Yeah.
So Erica, if you have chickens on wallpaper, then you either make that the feature of the house, paint farm murals maybe in the living
Yeah.
room to go with that, or we tear that down.
You know,
Yeah.
one thing that I'm seeing a lot, and somebody must have come through here a few years ago and sold this to everybody, are the sayings on the wall.
Oh yes.
Like the biblical
vinyl.
sayings,
Mhm.
you know,
Yes.
like I don't know, there'll be like a Bible verse up on the wall, or in the kitchen it'll say kitchen, and I'm like, well, yeah, it really. But when was that in vogue? I mean, I remember when people would paint murals. Remember the grapevines and all that. I mean,
yes.
I'm sure your mother did that. She would.
She did it on a couch.
That's kind of
actually.
her thing. But so if someone is if they have a house like that has wallpaper, that has those murals, that has those silly sayings, the best thing they could do is just get rid of it and go a nice grayish color.
Yeah.
The universal gray.
Tabitha's asking about popcorn ceilings. What's the easiest way to get rid of those?
Hire somebody.
Absolutely.
Hire somebody to do it.
What I've seen, and correct me if you've seen something different, but a lot of times getting it done is going to inherently affect the sheetrock below it, and so it becomes a bigger repair issue when you scrape all that off, and now your sheetrock has where they cut a little too deep,
Well, then
and then you've got to patch everything.
yeah.
I mean, it's an extensive process.
The
and
process is scrape, mud, sand, mud, sand, paint. It's a 6-step process.
But you might have to paint twice.
Yeah.
7 steps now.
Yeah, prime, paint.
There-
So you're at 7 steps.
Yeah.
And I will tell you, if it's a live-in, if you buy a house, that has popcorn ceilings, and at any point you think, man, I'm gonna get rid of those.
Pack it up.
Go ahead and do it before you move in, because for a live-in, it's double the price. Double the price to have
Because they've got to. I mean, it's a mess when they do it. And they've got to
it's awful.
contain that mess. It's a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean,
Wait,
just
who came up with popcorn ceilings? Who said that's a good idea?
That was to cover up mistakes. I mean,
Was
you don't have to have the ceiling perfect, so
texture exists.
Yeah.
To cover poor workmanship or whatever you want to call it, because you can come in, slap that sheetrock up. You don't have to tape it nearly as well, and then you come in and I was an apartment foreman in college, so I got a free place to stay, and I had to punch list these, turn these apartments over, and all the time we would be fixing sheetrock, and it was just, I mean, I'm no good at sheetrock, but I was great with texture, because you just throw it up there, tape it, mud it, sand it, and then just put your texture on there. You can't see any of the flaws. And so popcorn texture, all that is a great way to cover. Travis, our bearded builder, is answering questions for us.
Why isn't Travis in here? He was here earlier.
He needs
Travis
to be.
is doing very important things right now.
Travis is
That's
working.
why he didn't even come up and talk to us. He's got
What's
more
he
important
saying?
things to do. Well, he wanted to answer our question. The builders came up with the popcorn because it's easy and fast. So, like I said, covers poor workmanship and makes things, expedites the process. But I want to talk about how I want to take this kind of to the next step, because painting, all that stuff, that's the basic stuff. But let's talk about the kitchen remodel. Let's talk about the master bathroom remodel. And I've had a situation with a client where she built these beautiful bathrooms, had her bathrooms redone, gorgeous, but spent too much money and was never going to get her money back out of the house. And so that's where I want to spend some time on that, because it's important for, if you own a house and you're like, well, I would love to redo my kitchen. So would I.
Yeah.
But if it costs me $25,000 or $30,000 to do what I really want to do, am I ever going to be able to get that money out? And that's where the investment side of home ownership needs to be evaluated, because you have to understand a couple of factors, right? What's the neighborhood look like? What are you going to be able to maximize your house? What's your equity position? There's so many pieces to that I think we could spend 3 or 4 weeks talking through. But it's important for everyone out there that's like, oh, I want to do a remodel. So do I.
Yeah.
But it might not make sense.
Right. And that's really what we wanted to talk about today is if you do a remodel, what are the things you have to consider before you do it? I mean, if you've got a house and you want to put $25,000 in a kitchen remodel, are you going to get that money back when the time comes?
Yeah,
I think a lot of it depends on how long you're going to stay there and how quickly you want to sell. Chelsea.
If you bought your house 2 years ago for $105 a square foot and you want to do a $25,000 kitchen and sell in a year, don't.
Fact.
So if it's a short term, don't do it. You can do it, just don't count on getting your money back out.
If
That's what
it's
you're
your
saying.
forever home, if it is your forever home, do whatever you want to do. I will help you do whatever you want to do.
She'll close your house on Wednesday.
Yeah, not
If you're
October
lucky.
17th. 'Cause that's where we are. But I mean, if it's your forever home, do whatever you want to do. But if it's a short-term thing, if you paid a high price per square foot, if you have already paid over what your neighbors are now paying to purchase their house, don't do it. I mean,
Well,
You're not going to get a return on your
No.
investment.
Most people don't
You'll lose
understand, even without the remodel, like if you buy a house, you've got to live in it for 5 years or so before you can really, I mean, unless you put a significant down payment down but the line share of the 5%, the no money down, 5 years later, you're still going to be right at payoff. You're going to be right at payoff. And so that's the first thing to understand is one, where you bought it at. If you bought a 20-year-old house and you bought it at $70 a square foot, that then you have some calculating to do. You've got some figuring to do. But if you go out and buy newer, $97, $98 a foot, the reality is there's not a lot of home renovation there unless you're going to do some of the stuff yourself, unless you're going to invest in it over time, make it a long project, whatever, and really do it yourself, then there are some options. But to go out and hire $20,000, $30,000 worth of work on a house you just paid $97 a foot for, you won't get that money back unless you plan on being there a while.
Yeah. How does the condition of the property play into the price? Let's say I have found a house, it does need updates, it does need remodel. Do I take, and I'm just buying it to move in and live there. It's not a flip, it's not a fix up. Do I take the amount of money that I want to put in the remodel into account and ask for concessions off the sales price? You know what I mean? How does the updated condition of the house affect square footage price?
Well, I think you certainly ask for that.
You can ask.
If you've got a great real estate agent representing you, we'll certainly ask for whatever it is that you want, and we'll use it as a piece of our negotiating leverage. But the reality is, again, on the selling side, if you've got a good real estate agent, we're going to advise you that your house needs to be, if there's 3 tiers of pricing, you've got your brand new, move-in ready, doesn't need an upgrade, you've got that middle of the road where you could use some updating, and then you've got the full-blown remodel stuff, right? And if you're a C-level house, then it needs to be priced at C-level, and we should, as real estate agents, advise our clients where their house fits in the market. So the hope would be that the seller has taken that into account prior to listing. The reality is, most people don't. And so the answer to the question I would say is yes. Show them what it's going to take for you to live in that house. This is what I need to be able to buy your home. If you want to sell your home to me, these are the things that I value.
Right.
This is what it's going to cost me to make it what I want it, and this is what I'm willing to pay you for your house. And then at that point, it just becomes
it's a point of negotiation at that point.
Right.
So I was just on my phone. I wasn't being rude. I was looking up a picture because Tabitha Blankenship said, in a bathroom, tile only in the shower area, or can you tile part of the walls? And I really wish I could post a picture in response to your comment because
you can afterwards.
Okay, because I did a bathroom in a really nice big house a few years ago, and if you have like a separate freestanding tub or something, that's a really nice opportunity to take that tile from the shower and wrap your walls with it. So, because it is still a wet space and you don't want splashing on drywall and stuff. So I promise I wasn't trying to be rude. I was trying to find a picture, and I did find it. I just can't post it to your comment yet. So.
But after the show, we'll post that comment. But I think tile, and I love the way you guys use tile. And one of the most recent flips you did, you took this big, bold accent tile, carried it through the floor, and then tied it into the shower. I mean, it's so commonplace now to use bright, bold colors, textures, patterns in the tile, and take them in places that they haven't previously been.
Yeah.
Backsplashes are no longer just white subway tile. You can do a lot of stuff with these textures and these patterns that really show your personality. They show some character, they build character in the home, and they just make this beautiful statement piece that, to me, I loved it. It was the black and the white. Oh man, it was gorgeous. But I've seen teak wood floors in a shower.
Yeah.
Which is something that I desperately want to do, because that would be awesome. Yeah. There's no restraints or restrictions when you start doing that outside of, like you said, it's a wet area, so we have those things we have to take into account. But tile whatever you want to tile. I mean, it's design is changing so much that it's becoming a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you can do a lot of things that 7-8 years ago people would have never even looked at your house.
And if you have like a half bath and you want to make a big thanks, Zach, I have some of that tile left over if you want.
I'll take it.
Whatever, we're going to use it somewhere.
Is that Travis trying to pedal tile?
If you have like a small half bath that is super boring and you want to do something fun that you could probably even do
maybe.
Throw some subway tile in there from floor to ceiling, and it, I mean, with a like medium gray to a dark grout, depending on your design style, that automatically updates the wall that a toilet and a sink is sitting on. I mean,
and I've also seen the use of wallpaper in the bathrooms, especially in the powder baths in your visitor's bathroom, where you can take an entire wall and use some really funky stuff, and then make it your accent wall, and it just sets the space off.
because let's be real, wallpaper is not cheap.
Good
No.
wallpaper. Good wallpaper is not cheap.
Wallpaper is expensive.
Not the stuff you
And
want to
so,
use.
I mean, it's almost necessary for me if I'm going to use it in a smaller area
Sure.
because it is very expensive.
What's the worst wallpaper you've ever seen in a house? I'll go first. Mirrored wallpaper in a bathroom.
I'm sorry.
Mirrored wallpaper.
How is that even possible?
It's just like aluminum
Scientifically,
foil.
I don't know
It's
how-
reflective wallpaper.
Oh no!
And it was in a.
You need to incorporate that foil for wallpaper.
Well, here's the funny
you
thing.
can do that in the flip you
Okay,
just
I'll
bought.
do it.
It was in a tiny little room with a toilet. Was all that was in. It was the what I call a crapper. I'm sure there's a more appropriate name for it. I guess in an attempt to make the room look bigger, they wallpapered with reflective mirrored wallpaper. So as you're sitting there, you
Oh my
you know what's the worst you've seen, Zach? Roosters?
Yeah, I
In
mean,
the living room?
there's a lot of, I mean, there's some yellow farm animal like
Yeah.
I don't even know how to
Flowers.
describe it, but it's
Yeah.
got a fence on it, and like Bessie's over there eating her grass, and Babe, it just animals everywhere, and
Yeah.
it's yellow.
Yeah. Did
So-
it start off yellow?
I'm not
Just
sure,
got that way with it.
and we're not going to leave it around long enough to find out.
Well, so fun story for me here recently. My grandfather just bought a house in the same neighborhood as my mom. We're really pumped about it because he's always lived like 40 minutes away,
Middle
which
of
is
nowhere.
nothing. I
Yeah.
mean, 40 minutes is nothing, but for him to be like 7 minutes away, that's really awesome. Anyway, he bought this house in the same neighborhood as my mom, and we ripped the kitchen out of it because we're redoing his kitchen. And when the cabinets came out, I was over there and I saw this like little strip of wallpaper that was sitting above the backsplash that we're also ripping out. And I peeled it off and I was like, Mom, doesn't this look so familiar? I'm pretty sure it was the wallpaper that was in.
Was in your mom's house?
Yeah.
All of those houses were built at the same time, yeah.
But like I immediately recognized it. I don't remember if it was the dining room or what, but it was definitely in her house. And so yeah, all the houses in that neighborhood.
Yeah. All right, let's go ahead, Zach.
Well, we're working in a house right now that was built entirely tongue and groove. And so it's really cool to go crawling around in the attic, and the hardwood floors are all original and they're tongue and groove, and so it equally as much bad stuff as you see in some of these houses, when you get past the wallpaper, because that same house that has that yellow wallpaper is tongue and groove, top to bottom, cedar siding, 100% on the outside, all original in fantastic condition. And so the design style is certainly different, but those houses were built in a way that is just different than the construction we have today, and it's really neat to kind of climb through those and see how they did those things, because it would have taken so much time and effort that nowadays it wouldn't be it wouldn't be feasible economically to build a house that way, and it's just the quality is unbelievable to climb through those old houses.
That's cool.
Yeah. So what we're talking about is determining whether or not it is worthwhile to do some renovations to your home. And I think what we talked about so far is whether or not you're planning on living there or sell it in a few years, you got to look at the numbers and say, okay, if I were to sell my house, this is what I could get. That is going to determine the amount of money that you put in. You're not going to put a $50,000 kitchen in a $100,000 house. So you look at the numbers first, right? All right. As far as getting value back, what is the best room to do? Is it the kitchen?
Kitchen or master bathroom.
Yeah.
And what are some of the things you can do in the kitchen? What are some of the low-cost things you can do? Rather than tearing everything out and starting over, what are some relatively inexpensive things someone could do if they were so inclined?
Backsplash, countertops,
Painted
appliances.
Cabinets, maybe? Appliances make a big
I
difference.
mean, if you've got gas available and you put a big gas cooktop in, that's huge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you put that on your new countertops, that's even better. If you undermount a nice farm sink to your new countertops with a sweet backsplash, you've remodeled the kitchen. You haven't moved any walls, you haven't torn anything out, and you keep your costs lower. The invasiveness on your property is lower. Where people lose their minds is they watch too much HGTV and they walk in, they're like, we're going to move that wall, that wall, that wall, that wall, that wall, that wall, that, and it's like, that's all the walls.
Yeah.
You're going to have $100,000 in engineered beams
They'll
in
move,
this
they'll
house.
move plumbing,
Yeah,
they'll rewire.
That's where you get into trouble. So changing the layout, I think, is the big ticket item, both in the master bathrooms and in your kitchens. Like, that's where your money goes. That's where you get beyond the point of great return unless you bought it right.
Yeah.
But to come in and put a couple $1,000s worth of granite to do a backsplash, to do a new sink and some appliances, change the paint color, you can paint your cabinets. That stuff, a lot of that stuff can be done over time on your own, a lot of it.
Yeah.
You hire out that work, and now you've remodeled your kitchen. And
Christy, great question.
Hi,
Do
Christy.
you recommend hiring someone to paint kitchen cabinets, or is it easy to do myself? If you want it done well, there are various levels, right, of painting kitchen cabinets. Yes, you can do it yourself. Will they still look good in a year and a half? Probably not. But at the same time, you can also hire a painter to spray them. But if they don't use the right product, will they look bad in a year and a half? It's very possible. So we have a guy that paints cabinets, and he is phenomenal. He uses an enamel that you can only buy at a cabinet shop, and he will, if you've got a really like grainy oak cabinet, he will Bondo the grain and sand it down and spray it so you get a factory finish. Your cabinets no longer look like wood painted. They are a factory finish. They're super smooth. They're perfect. They're easy to clean.
What's the cost of something like that, though?
It's expensive.
Significant.
Yeah. I mean, it's expensive.
Well, because you have to, you're taking off all the doors, you're taping everything. Because you're not going to spray them in place, right? So you got to disassemble everything,
Right.
And I've seen painted countertops in flips cabinets rather, that you could tell somebody went to Lowe's, grabbed some paint. Now, did they look great in pictures? Sure,
Yes.
sure. But when you get right up on them, it's like you painted them yourself, and they paid people the money to come in and spray these cabinets.
So I showed a flip recently, and the pictures look great. It had painted cabinets, but you got in there, and that paint was peeling off already. Nobody had lived in it. They had put handles on the drawers, and just by doing that, the paint had started peeling because they didn't use the right product. So
to answer your question, it's possible. You can do it yourself, and it all depends on. I've seen it done well in a small kitchen in an older house.
I did.
But Chelsea painted her mom's kitchen cabinets many years ago, and they still look pretty good. So
I surprised
Chelsea's
Mom.
no longer in the painting in the painting business
Right.
herself, but she on Wednesdays will come to your house and
I'll
tell
quote
you
ya.
what it's going to cost to paint your cabinets.
Yeah.
But certainly can be done.
Yeah.
Better to hire.
Right.
Yeah.
So in the kitchen, things that you're going to look at changing, of course, the paint, flooring are kind of a gimme, but countertops, backsplash, maybe paint the cabinets. The other room of the house, I think, that gets the most attention is the master bath. Talk about it. What are, in the last couple of minutes we've got left, what are some easy things that people can do, and what are some things that you guys have done that you think is just super neat?
I feel like master bathrooms, you either go all out or you don't.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the time it's a weird layout. It's a problem with having a massive whirlpool tub and a tiny corner shower. And realistically, if you're going to throw money to redo, if you're going to take your tiny fiberglass corner shower and you're going to leave that massive whirlpool tub, but you're going to you're going to put tile in that tiny corner shower. Don't throw your money at that.
I saw that.
Somebody will come in
house
and
recently.
somebody will come in and rip out everything you've done
Absolutely.
to put in a big, nice walk-in shower with benches and stuff like that and a freestanding tub. I feel like the master bathroom, you kind of have to go all out because there's fewer elements to it
Agreed.
that are easy changes.
I feel like it starts with layout. If the layout is what you want it to be, then you have the same opportunity you have in the kitchen. countertops, tile backs, or not backsplash, but tile in the shower,
Mm-hmm.
yada yada. But if the layout's already not optimized, then you're putting lipstick on a pig.
Mm-hmm.
And so you've either got to
It
go
doesn't
all
make the
in.
bacon taste better, by the way.
No, it doesn't, and
Yeah.
and it's a pretty pig, but it's still a pig,
Right,
And,
yeah.
and ultimately, pigs are bacon.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
sadly, a lot of the older houses that we see back a few decades ago, the emphasis was not on the master bath.
No.
The emphasis was on the family room, the playroom, that sort of thing. So we see a lot of older houses that have a good sized master bedroom, but then the bath is literally
Yeah.
just what a half bath now would be.
Yeah.
And so, depending on your house, you may be limited by space
Mm-hmm.
on what you can do. Hey, we're actually coming up on 30 minutes. We may continue this next week. I'm out. The show is going to broadcast live from Athens. You get to drive to
Ooh.
Athens. How
I
exciting
don't know
is
if
that?
I can. I have a 7 a.m. workout on Friday mornings.
That's not,
That's
it's not
real
gonna last.
tight.
My partners are like, Athens is in the United Arab Emirates. We're not coming.
Yeah.
It's a whole 15 miles away. We can't make it. But I'll drive out here every Friday. There's
And
a
see, I think
commitment
that-
level
I think
that
that
I'm
says-
concerned
You're
with.
just such
okay.
a better person than we are.
You really
Agreed.
are.
No, I'm just-
you know, no, you
Golly.
really are. You're so much. You're such,
Man.
and we won't argue about
No.
that.
Well,
but-
You heard it here first,
Anyway,
folks.
this is a conversation we can continue
Absolutely.
down the road. So, Zach, what you got going on? The weekend is coming up. You working? You taking off?
I'm always working.
No.
I never. You
Zach-
when
Zach-
do you ever quit?
Zach will text me at like 2 a.m. Hey,
I know he'll get it when he wakes up. He'll get it when he wakes up.
What's going on with Hammer and Sales?
Hammer and Sales. We're on like 5 things right now.
You've got
So
flips going,
We've
you've got
flips
remodels.
going. We've got remodels going. Tomorrow, I am going to focus on unstaging Woodmore because the new owners are moving in on Monday.
That house sold
Fantastic.
and
Yeah.
closed really quickly.
It did.
We do want to talk on the show about staging.
Absolutely.
And what a difference that can make, and
Yeah.
you guys are both really good at that. So, hey, if we can do anything for you when it comes to real estate, look us up, revolved.com. Do us a favor, share this show out. The more viewers, the better, and we will do our best to make sure that things just keep getting better and better. We are lining up some guests for future shows and some one-on-one. So a lot going on. As
Absolutely.
usual, I got to go show a house, actually.
All right.
So you guys have a great week. Zach, Chelsea, love you, mean it. See you
Bye.
soon.
See you guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.